Hi, my name is Leyla and I'm an alcoholic. Even though my rock bottom lasted for years, a series of events happened on May 5th, 2013, where I could no longer deny I was in a hopeless state of mind and body and I had lost the power of choice in drinking. At the time, I was living in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm originally a New Yorker, but I had been living there for the past couple years and my parents were in town visiting. I enjoyed working at a job in the museum, and that day, prior to May 5th, I was asked to come to a special dinner that the exiting president would be at for the museum. At that dinner, I was even going to be able to drink and to eat with all my other employees. But because of my mental obsession, I started pre-gaming hard. I started drinking, popping other substances. By the time I got to the restaurant, I was in a walking blackout, and the last thing I remember was taking a drink of red wine up to my lips. And then I remember coming to crying hysterically in my coworker's car, wondering what had happened. Oftentimes when I drank, I had the privilege of not remembering and other people having to clean up my mess. Still to this day, I don't know what happened because I was too embarrassed to ask that night. The next day on May 5th, I went to my job at the museum, and my employer called me into the office and asked me what had happened. Like I said, I was so embarrassed that I didn't know, so I just started pleading for my job again. And they said something to me that I still remember to this day. They said, "I think you need to take a good hard look inside of yourself." And when they said that, I really had no response because I thought it was pretty accurate. And I was fired from my job. And I walked out of there with my head held low. It was a real low point for me. And my parents began calling me, and I kept ignoring their calls because I didn't want to have to tell them again that their adult daughter had lost another job. I walked out of there, and I did the only thing I knew what to do. I walked to a gas station, and I bought alcohol. And I went and walked down some forgotten street in New Orleans and sat on some forgotten stoop and tried to make my day get a little bit better. However, after that, my day only got worse. I almost lost my life later that evening as I was trying to procure more drugs and alcohol. I won't go into details, but a traumatic event happened, and AA didn't solve my trauma, but what it did do was equip me with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, which provided me with a program of action that connected me with my higher power. It was like modern-day alchemy. Instead of turning metal to gold, it turned my pain and suffering into the ability to help people inside and outside of the room. Later on, I was brought to a treatment center 3 days later, where my sobriety date is May 8th, 2013. At that treatment center, I found my sponsor and we began to work the steps. When it became time for the 9th step, I had to call the museum and make an amends to them. I still had my skepticism and doubt about the program and wondered how I would make this amends because I not only was in a walking blackout, I had also been stealing money from them for years. And I didn't understand why I would let them know that because I thought maybe I would need a job recommendation down the line. Anyways, after speaking with my sponsor several times, I finally worked up the courage to get honest, and I called up my boss, and I let her know that I made the amends for the blackout and for embarrassing myself and the company, as well as the money I had been stealing. I could tell that there were tears in her voice when I got honest, and there were tears in my voice when I was telling her. We settled on a financial amount that I would need to pay back. During the next 2 weeks, as a waitress in a small restaurant in Northeast Louisiana, I didn't make much money, and I wasn't a very good waitress either. But for those 2 weeks when I was making money for that amends, it was spiritual currency. Money flew into my hands faster than I had ever made money at that job, before or after that amends. And I was able to pay back that financial amends within two weeks of making that amends. The amazing and even miraculous part of the story was that a couple months later, when I needed a job interview, they gave me a recommendation based specifically on the amends I had made them. So had I kept my narrow outlook on what I thought I needed to do in order to get what I wanted, I never would have received the amazing and life-changing miracle of the 9-step amends and letting my higher power come and do its thing. I'm so grateful for this program, and I'm so grateful for the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.